Just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who has come to the channel and subscribed and commented. We're having a great conversation. I hope it can continue past the 19th and all the way into January. In previous videos, I have made allegation about the layout of the Senate and how it doesn't really favor Donald Trump, even though it is 54-45 Republican to Democrat. I'm going to use the video today to try to illustrate that. Now, what we have here is pretty easy to see. On the left we have 45 Democrats, and on the right we have 54 Republicans and 1 independent. I have alleged that there are 15 sitting Republican senators that are never Trump, and the Trump supporters come back and say, well, even though they don't support the man, now that he's been allegedly elected president, they're going to now fall into line because they don't want to lose their support and they want to get reelected. Well, I'm going to show why that's false thinking. We're going to start with Kelly Ayotte in New Hampshire, Republican senator. Kelly Ayotte is in a state that is almost always went for the Democrats. The Republicans in the Northeast are not like the Republicans in the South. That's a pretty easy assertion to make. So to say that this person, by not supporting Donald Trump, would somehow have a problem gaining support for a re-election campaign, I don't think is something we can say is a for sure. So we can say that this person is definitely going to side with the Democrats in the Never Trump column. The next one, for the exact same reason, is Susan Collins from Maine. The next one, Cory Gardner from Colorado. Now remember, folks, these are all Republican senators. Dean Heffler from Nevada, same thing. No issue with re-election for not supporting Donald Trump. Mark Kirk from Illinois. Rob Portman from Ohio. Once again, we've established the entire GOP of Ohio is never Trump. Now those are the absolute for sures. So right there we have a 51 to 49 advantage, just on the guarantees. Now let's talk about the senators that might be a question. The first one would be Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. Now, South Carolina was deep Trump territory, but Lindsey Graham came out against the man and continued to be against the man. He's been a sitting senator for a long time, and I don't really think he would change his views on Donald Trump based on his fear of not getting reelected. The next one would be John McCain from Arizona. Now, this man is not going to use Donald Trump as an excuse to stick his finger in the wind and think about re-election. I don't know that he's even going to continue. He's been in the Senate so long, so he would stick by his principles that way. Ben Sasse from Nebraska. Honestly, I'm not very sure about Mr. Sasse from Nebraska. I know that there's been back and forth, so I'm going to, just to err on the side of conservatism, leave him over with the Republicans. The other two we have 2 from Alaska, Lisa Murkowski and Dan Sullivan. Now, we've seen the governor, Sarah Palin, come out and attack Donald Trump for crony capitalism. I don't think these 2 senators would use Donald Trump or the opposition to him as a calculation for a re-election up there. They didn't get elected based on their support for him. So it would be hard to say. So what we're going to do is we'll split the difference. We'll say one does, one doesn't. So we'll put that person over there. Now, the next one is Marco Rubio from Florida. His constituency will re-elect him because he's against Donald Trump. That's a pretty easy one. The next one, Mike Lee from Utah. I don't think the Republicans in the state of Utah are giant fans of Donald Trump. Ted Cruz from Texas. He was one of the big ones that was against Donald Trump the entire time. If being against Donald Trump would have been a liability, he would have never been against him to begin with. And I think that pretty much covers everybody. There's Jeff Flake from Arizona. Just for conservatism's sake, we're just going to go ahead and not assume that he will change his stance that way. He's come out and said he's against Donald Trump, but we're going to go ahead and assume that he's going to stay with the Republicans. So what we can see here is we have, for sure, 12 of the 15 that we can reasonably say are going to maintain their opposition to Donald Trump. So we had 45 plus 1, 46 plus 12. That would be 58. 58-42 against Donald Trump in the Senate. Now, if I wanted to drag out a whole bunch more M&Ms and lay out the House for you, we could do that. But you can do that for yourself. If you go and find the representatives and their states and where they're from, and you do an assessment of whether that person believes they should or should not support Donald Trump, you will find that his support, allegedly, in the House evaporates quickly, and it becomes a very 50-50 deal. So I don't think we can guarantee for sure that Donald Trump, if for some reason the presidential campaign would get into the House, or if it does get to the Senate on the tabulation session on the 7th, and there's a question, that he can count on this giant wave of support in the Senate, given what we've shown here. So, and to cover a couple other topics, if you go back to my first video that I made back on the 1st of November, I really wasn't saying in that video that it was a for sure slam dunk for Donald Trump and this would for sure happen with the Democrats. I was making the allegation that because of impropriety on both sides, they would use the Electoral College to invalidate the election, or at least give the electors a reason to invalidate the results in each of their states. If this had gone the other way, Trump voter, I would say that you would have the exact same avenue constitutionally that the Democrats have now. You could have made the allegation that Hillary Clinton was unfit to be president. I believe they're both unfit to be president. I just believe he's a little bit more unfit than she is. And that's why a lot of my videos have pointed to that. And I haven't done a video based on all of her disqualifications going all the way back into the 90s with the Rose Law Firm and all the investigations and the problems that she's had. So I know, Trump voter, you think I'm this liberal, that I'm pro-Hillary Clinton, and I have said in the past that given the choice, I would choose her. If that was my only two choices, and I had to vote, somebody put a gun to my head and I had to vote. And the only reason on that is because she's the devil you know. There's an old saying that says, better the devil that you know. And she's a known quantity, he's not. He's really not a known quantity other than what you can see from his business past, which is pretty frightening. So that's just what I wanted to cover in this. The last thing, my grandmother once told me that you're going to have friends and you're going to have enemies in your life. Now, your friends, you'll have some that are genuine, but you're going to have friends that are going to pretend to be your friend because they have an ulterior motive. So you're never really going to know for sure. But one thing you will always know for sure is that the people who are your enemies are genuinely your enemies. No one's ever going to pretend to be your enemy. So make sure you have the right enemies, because they're the only ones who you can guarantee are being totally honest with you. So based on my assertions here on this channel, I think I've made the right enemies. So everyone have a great weekend, and we will see you again soon. Thanks again for the support. I really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe.